all seeing, all hearing, all understanding God. You the God of this universe. And Lord, we just thank you so much. And James 4 and 2 say we have not because we ask not. Father, we ask you that you will bless us with the funding for all the projects that we have in this city. Because we know that you own the cattle of 1,000 hills, all the gold and all the silver belong to you. Father God, you made us in your image and likeness. And Father God, we just pray now that you will bless us. Bless us in special ways. And Lord, we will give you all honor, praise, and glory, God, because of who you are and what you are. Thank you again for being our God. And we your servant, being our Father, and we are the children. Thank you for controlling our destiny, not leaving us in the hand of no man. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your attendance this evening. And I want to apologize for the smell. We cleaned the carpets over the weekend, and it is a lingering smell, so hopefully it will dissipate by the next time we have a board meeting. So anyway, but the carpets are clean, which is a good thing. All right, the first item will be approval of the official agenda with consented items. Do we have any items for consideration or consent, or any changes to the agenda? Alderman Carter?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Rupp?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Brooks?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Alderman Sistrum? Vice Mayor Perkins?
Yes, ma'am, Mayor. Thanks for the recognition. Mayor, I want to invite your attention respectfully to Roman numeral 11, department business, and I want to go over to community development and planning department, and seeking respectful permission from the mayor and my colleagues to put item number 2 on consent agenda this evening.
Okay, do we have objections to putting that item on the consent agenda?
What is that?
That is the Bulldog Bash item.
I think we need to discuss Bulldog Bash.
Okay, well then, there is not consent to put that on the agenda. Vice Mayor, anything further?
I yield, Mayor. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Alderman Vaughn?
No, my Mayor, thank you.
All right, thank you. That being the case, I need a motion for approval of the official agenda with the consented items.
So moved.
A motion from Alderman Brooks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Rupp. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries and it is unanimous. All right, I will read the consented agenda items. First is (3021) audit and agreement of fiscal year 9/30/22 audit services engagement with Watkins Ward and Stafford PLLC. Under Fire Department, item 1 is request permission to accept the hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant awarded by U.S. Department of Transportation, Pipeline, and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration in a reimbursable amount of $13,500 with a 20% match of $2,700 to purchase handheld radios and detection monitors. Number 2, under Fire Departments, request authorization to purchase 3 portable radios programmed for use with MSWIN, Ms. Win, and MSU radio systems, and 3 extended warranties of off-state contract from Teletech Communications of Columbus for the Starkville Fire Department in the amount of $6,795 to be purchased with grant funds. Under Human Resources, we have one, request authorization to hire Anthony Norwood and Terrence Bowen as residential drivers in the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department. Two is request authorization to hire Josh McNeil as an accountant in the Utilities Department. Three is request authorization to hire Helenthal Ash as a wastewater sludge operator in the Starkville Utilities Department. Four is request authorization to hire Gary Rivers as a grounds maintenance worker for the Airport Department. Five is request authorization to hire James Reyes as a Starkville Police radio operator dispatcher. Six, consideration of the discipline recommended by Starkville Police Chief Mark Ballard as a result of IA 23-07-001 for a Starkville police officer. And seven is request authorization to hire Vanyetta Shea Holmes as the assistant court clerk. Under Parks, we have one, consideration to award the lowest bid from Gentry Signs for cornerstone light pole banners, dugout banners, and facility signage in the amount of $15,182. Two is consideration to approve the T&M Steel Phase 3 Change Order 13 for additional irrigation, sod, electrical panel, concrete work, and canopy, and the removal of hydro seeding at no cost. Three is consideration to accept Phase 2 Change Order 6 with T&M for Cornerstone Sports Park in the amount of $2,500 for soil testing. Under Police, we have number A is request approval to purchase with insurance proceeds of the wrecked 2017 Ford Police Interceptor VIN number 7165, a used black 2016 Ford Explorer VIN number 5924 with 77,683 miles from Asia Motors, Inc. in Melrose Park, Illinois for a total cost of $14,590, which is within the estimated Kelley Blue Book range. B is request approval to purchase the Skydio 2 Plus drone with its associated software, batteries, landing pad, and warranties from Skydio, Inc. as a sole source allowable item per federal requirements at a cost of $6,993.99, funded through the Drone Donations line account. C is request approval to accept the 100% reimbursable fiscal year 24 405D alcohol and drug impaired driving enforcement grant in the amount of $100,000. D is request approval to accept the 100% reimbursable fiscal year 24 402 police traffic services grant for the continuation project of police traffic services, seatbelt, speeding, and child restraint enforcement in the amount of $20,655. Under Code Enforcement, we have A, consideration of calling for a public hearing under Mississippi Code annotated 21-1911 to determine whether the structures located at North Long Street, Starkville, Mississippi, with parcel number 118-00-031.00 is a menace to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. B is consideration of calling for a public hearing under Mississippi Code annotated 21-1911 to determine whether the structures located at North Long Street, Starkville, Mississippi, with a parcel number 1180-00-087.00 is a menace to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. And C is consideration of calling for a public hearing under Mississippi Code annotated 21-1911 to determine whether the structure located at 301 Everglade Avenue, Starkville, Mississippi, with parcel number 118J-00-072.00 is a menace to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. Under Sanitation, we have request authorization to advertise for bids for the purchase of garbage bags. Under Utilities, item 1 is request authorization to approve the lowest quote from Hatch for lab equipment for the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $6,519. 2 is request authorization to execute the funding agreement and approve funds received for the Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program for a generator for the administration building for the Starkville Utilities in the amount of $125,000, with a federal share of $112,500 and $12,500 to be paid by Starkville Utilities. 3 is request authorization to purchase a 2023 Ford F-250 4x2 crew cab in the amount of $67,639.30, the lower of 2 quotes to replace a previously approved surplus vehicle. 4 is request approval for Mississippi State University Athletics Office to provide an insert into 1 month's utility bills at no cost to Starkville Utilities to promote the 2023 football season and schedule. And that concludes the consent agenda items.
Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Okay, under announcements and comments, I have several things. My first one I'm going to do is a new employee, which is always fun for us, so that we can put a face to a name as we go through this. First, we have, well, actually, first and only, you are the man for the evening. This is Jacob Mitchell. He is originally from Corinth, Mississippi. Jacob graduated from Corinth High School in 2010. Prior to coming to Starkville Utilities, he worked for Pike Electric. Jacob has 3 children, Noah, Jackson, and Kinsley. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time with his children, enjoying time at the lake, and relaxing. And Jacob is coming to us as an apprentice lineman with the Utilities Department. Welcome. We appreciate you coming to us. Thank you. All right, and that is our new employee for introductions. I love doing those. That's great. Next item that I get to talk about, and actually I'm going to do this a little differently. So I have been asked to make sure we promo this, guys. So tonight is National Night Out, okay? It is occurring starting in about 15 minutes at the Sportsplex, and there are all kinds of fun things for kids. There's food and bounce houses, and there's a hot air balloon. And so, after we're done, I'm going to put the T-shirt on and go over there, and I encourage all the aldermen to do that, please. But it is National Night Out. It's a National Night Out on crime, so there's a lot of family things going on. So please go attend and support and send your friends, text your friends while we're here at the board meeting and send them out there. That's item 2. I have one more here. We have Starkville Utilities Water Division, proud to know it, Mr. Kemp. Second year in his role, or going on to his second year in his role. And for the second year in a row, Starkville Utilities has earned a maximum overall score of 5 and was credited for long-range infrastructure investment program to ensure Starkville's water supply system operates safely, reliably, and sustainably for years to come. They processed and delivered over 1.838 billion, with a B, gallons of safe drinking water to customers last year. So I think that congratulations is in order, and we expect that every year. And the board is to be commended for being supportive of putting in all of those infrastructures that will allow that to continue to happen. So let's be sure to, we'll give y'all a pat on the back for yourselves. And then I also wanted to announce that we are starting this week. I had thought it was next week, but this week we are beginning that layer of asphalt on the Main Street area that's been dug up. So we will, Mr. Burnett, is that going to conclude, or Mr. Kemp, whichever of you, is that going to conclude this week, or is that going to wrap up next week? Next week. It will be wrapping up next week, but they were beginning this week, so we should begin to see the dust die down this week, and that will be a temporary repair while we await our next phase of the Main Street project. So, thank you.
Full asphalt?
Just the patch, because then we're going to go over with the Main Street project. So, all right, that is all of mine. So I tell you what, we're going to do a little alternating between one end of the table or the other. So I'm going to start down here. Alderman Vaughn, anything that you would like to discuss?
No, ma'am, Mayor, thank you.
All right, Vice Mayor Perkins?
Mayor, this is my second and final recognition for the evening, but and hopefully my colleagues will look at this as a very pivotal recognition for this evening, and I just want to take this very privilege, pleasure, and honor to share with my colleagues, the department heads, the press, the entire Starkville family, and all who will join in on this this board meeting tonight. I just want to say this, because I do not want to be remiss in saying this in my official capacity as Vice Mayor, and I do want all of us to take this moment and opportunity to give recognition to our Honorable Mayor, the Honorable D. Lynn Spruill, whose birthday is today. So let's just, at least we can acknowledge that just with a round of applause and say happy birthday, Mayor.
Well, thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
And Mayor, we just hope that you continue to enjoy this very beautiful, awesome, and gorgeous day, and we just wish you just many, many more birthdays, and we pray that God will continue to bless you in all of your endeavors. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the recognition. I appreciate it. Wouldn't be anywhere else on my birthday, so with all of my friends here, so thank you.
You're welcome, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Sistrom.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank Vice Mayor Perkins for not asking us to sing.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
it's your game there. But I would also like to remind everybody that next Tuesday, August 8th, I believe it is Election Day in Mississippi. In Mississippi, we do not declare a party, so you are whatever you feel like you are when you wake up that morning. You can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican. The only thing that binds you is if you vote in the initial primary for a party and there's a runoff, you have to stay in the same party. So there's some important races, some contested, some not, but there's some important races, and I encourage everybody to look into your hearts, see which primary you're led to vote in, and go vote on Tuesday.
Amen.
Alderman Beatty.
No, Mayor, thank you.
Alderman Brooks.
No, Mayor, thank you.
Alderman Rupp.
No, ma'am.
Alderman Carter.
I just touch on that same thing, and I will say this to this group that I've gotten the opportunity to serve and running for supervisor. Any person that ever runs, every person in their life needs to run for a public office or serve on board or commission. Everybody on this table has done that. I always, if I hear somebody put their name in the hat for anything, especially the people that we have some wonderful volunteers on a lot of our boards and commissions, it takes a special person, especially the volunteer status. So hats off to each and every person running, especially in a small town, and the quick process. The second thing is probably better done. First time I'm doing out the utilities. Start with utilities last night. Actually beat us out in co-ed, and y'all got a group that's probably the best co-ed team I've ever seen play. And other than fundamental softball, they're probably the most professional team I've ever played. So, you know, I imagine they'll be league champion on the co-ed side, but maybe we can recognize them or something. And we've got a group that represents the city of Starkville very, very well on the softball field, not just athletically, but professionalism. They hold themselves to the highest standard, so I yield.
Okay, thank you. And when y'all win, which it looks like y'all are going to do, you'll have to bring your team up.
And your trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That concludes board's announcements and comments. So this is the opportunity for citizen comments. Anyone who wishes to speak to the board, you have 3 minutes. It will be timed by Ms. Harden. So you're welcome to come provide us information, give us comments, concerns. So, Mr. Turner, how are you this evening?
All right. Good evening to the mayor and board. My name is Alvin Tony Ward. 7 to the mayor, police chief, to the fire chief, sanitation. We're getting in the time of year. Our people say that we are very safe and stuff. But we can kind of make it a little bit better if we can let people know that the ordinance or whatever we got in place that you cannot discharge a firearm in the city. That would be a big help. If we do that, then they can't say I didn't know no better. Also, this open weapon, open carry law that we cannot get an understanding of, and we have problems with people want to get into it because of you charging them with open carry and what the law say. But if you can, give us some understanding on this open weapon, open carry law.
All right, thank you, Mr. Turner. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I will close it under citizen comments and we'll move on to public hearing. We have one public hearing this evening. Mr. Haviland, this is consideration of a variance, 23-08, for lot frontage build-out and lot width, and I'll let Mr. Haviland go into the details.
This is a public hearing and request for consideration for VA 2308, a request for a variance from lot frontage build-out and lot width requirements at 400 University Drive, Cadence Bay. And I think everybody's pretty familiar. It's right there at the southeast side of the intersection of University and Montgomery. Cadence is proposing to redevelop the entire site. This is just some of the images of the rendering of the building that they've provided so far. There are two parts to this request. The first part is frontage build-out. The image to the right kind of illustrates how that is measured. It's a percentage of the building versus the width of the lot. The minimum lot frontage is 65% in a T5C zoning district. The proposed building frontage only occupies 57% along University Drive and then 36% along South Montgomery Street. The second part of the request is for lot width. Currently, the bank is sitting on 2 lots. Right here on this yellow line is the approximate location of the existing lot line. And so that becomes problematic in a redevelopment because you have to honor the setbacks of the lot. And so there'd be a setback issue with the parking, and then on the south side, there'd be a setback and a use issue of parking only on the lot. So to remedy that, they need to aggregate the 2 lots together. And to do that, they'll need a variance from the lot width requirement. The maximum lot width for a newly created lot is 120 feet. The width along here is approximately 302. But it is an unusually shaped lot. It backs up to the right-of-way of the railroad, and then it's got a lot of slope as it goes down to a problematic intersection. The request was noticed in accordance with UDC. 41 property owners of record were noticed directly by mail, and an ad was published on July 4, 2023, and a sign placed on the property. And as of this date, we have only received 2 phone calls just requesting information about the request. There are 6 criteria for variance review and approval, as for all variances, and there are also 5 additional criteria that are form-based districts. On July 26th, the Board of Adjustment Appeals voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request based on these criteria. If there are any questions.
Okay, before I let you go, just to address it while we've got you here for it, would you give us the sidewalk element, because I was asked about it, so let's talk about real quick just about the sidewalk and how that's going to lay out during the construction phase.
So during construction, what they're going to do, and they've already done it, they brought the construction fencing to cover up this sidewalk. So that's going to route traffic across the street where there is a nice sidewalk, actually better than this existing sidewalk. But in the front, the construction fence stops short. That's going to allow them to do some work in the front of the building, but leave the sidewalk open toward the end. And then once they get toward the end, the sidewalk's going to actually expand out into the road to line up with the Main Street project as it occurs on the other side of the street, so that the 2 lanes line up. And so that'll create a much larger pedestrian zone in front of the bank, and it'll enhance that intersection a lot, because right now, if you've ever walked through it, it's real problematic, and this should fix a lot of the issues.
Okay, again, that wasn't part of this, but I just wanted to make sure everybody heard the Alderman Brooks.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Just a couple of things. So the parking's gonna change too, right? There's not gonna be any more of that.
It's
diagonal parking?
the entire site too,
Yeah, from the front.
except with the exception of there's an existing tree right here, and then there's another tree, it's kind of on the property line down here. That's the only 2 things that we're doing.
And the variances for the lot width, is there not a difference in width and depth, and since the building faces north?
Yeah, when you're on a corner lot, the lot width is kind of
Okay,
both of the side space, but you basically have 2 front lots.
yeah,
If this were just a mid-block lot, it wouldn't matter, but yeah.
yeah, okay, that's all there. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Carver, did I see your hand?
No, I'm going to vote for it, it's obviously, I think, minuscule numbers, but I mean, on the timing, why would you apply for your variance after you've torn the building down? Like, why wasn't this done 2 months ago?
They applied for the site plan review. We've been working through that since, I believe, about May. And so it's just the timing of when they did their applications, when it came here. We were trying to get the plat to line up with approval tonight too, but there's some issues with the plat that fell behind. It's getting corrected. It'll probably go on the agenda for next week.
Okay. Alderman Beatty, did I see your hand?
Yes. Does the number of parking spaces meet the?
Yes.
All right, let me open it as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this particular item, now would be the time, either for or against. Either for or against. All right, seeing none, I'll close it as a public hearing, and that being the case, we are up for consideration of this variance 23-08. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Alderman Carver, that was you? I have a motion from Alderman Carver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Vaughn. All right, all those in favor, please say, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it is unanimous. Thank you. All right, and next we have the item that was the subject of a work session, our budget. We have consideration of calling for public hearings on the 23-24 budget and tax millage in the amount of, there's a blank there because we discussed a number of numbers, but at this point in time, this is an opportunity for any discussion. So 1.87 is the amount that would take us to 32, and that was sort of the consensus, it seemed to be, at the work session.
You said
So-
1.87?
1.87, that would take us to a total of 32. So from that perspective, do we have any discussion? Alderman Vaughn, anything from you, sir?
No, ma'am, thank you.
All right, Vice Mayor Perkins?
Mayor, what is your recommendation?
We obviously, to me, we are in need of a tax increase. It is reflective of the salary study that allows us to hopefully meet the market for our employees and give them the raises that are appropriate for us to retain and to hire people. This also allows us to make some purchases of items. It also reflects the flat nature, sadly, the flat nature of our sales tax and the projection of, in great conservative form for how next year is going to be, since we didn't meet our projection this year. So there are a number of things that are transpiring, and I have, there's a copy of the announcement, the public hearing notice, that is basically, in fact, I'll read a paragraph. This is what would go into the paper were we to do this. So this is the formal notice that is required by the state. So the city of Starkville is now operating with projected total budget revenue of $28,468,960. That's the current projected budget revenue, which is 32%, or $9,137,320 of such revenue is obtained through our ad valorem taxes. That's this year. For the next fiscal year, the proposed budget has a total projected revenue of $28,452,095. Of that amount, 35.8%, or $10,208,900 is proposed to be financed through a total ad valorem tax levy. If you will notice, current year is $28,468,960. Next year, with the additional levy, it's $28,452,095, which is less than this year's. So I think it is significant that we do this 1.87. We probably should do more, but I understand the pain associated with an additional millage, and so this is, I think, the minimum that we can do and successfully meet our obligations and the desires and needs of our city, our residents, and our employees, certainly in keeping them compensated appropriately. So that's where I land, Vice Mayor.
Mayor, I concur with your comments, and I yield.
All right, thank you. Alderman Sistrunk.
I'd like to add to that, when you were talking about the various changes, there's everybody wants to know, why is this necessary? And typically the answer is there's some nuance to it. Part of it is the revenue shortfall in sales tax. Part of it is the salary increase. Part of it is inflation. Part of it is that we've not had a millage increase in 3 years. So there are a lot of elements, but at the end of the day, where we find ourselves is, if we want to continue operations at the level at which we are, this is what would be needed to balance the budget for this coming year. And I would like to move approval for calling of the public hearing.
Okay, for the fill in the blank?
1.87.
All right, let's see if I have a second. Do I have a second for that?
Second, Mayor.
I have a second from Alderman Vaughn. So that's Alderman Sistrunk has made the motion. I have a second from Alderman Vaughn. All right, anything further, Alderman Sistrunk?
No, ma'am,
All
thank
right,
you.
if you look, may I have that back? And I'm going to pass that down so that anyone else that wants to see it may. Alderman Beatty, anything from you, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Couple of things. And I guess, ask this question to our city clerk. Ms. Harden, in last year's budget, this time last year, didn't we propose a fund ending balance, beginning balance of $2.45 million? Now, I noticed that it shows us with a fund ending balance, projected at the end of this fiscal year, 2.75, or an increase of 300,000. If we projected that at 2.45 million in lieu of 2.75 million, doesn't that, we're contributing $300,000 more to our fund balance by increasing the projected beginning and ending balance of that fund balance from 2.45 million to 2.75 million.
That was the projection. This time last year. Whether or not we actually reach it in the next 3 months.
I thought part of balancing the budget process last year was to project the level of fund balance, that it would not grow from 2.45 to 2.75 million.
I don't have
I mean, I think I remember that.
Do you,
I'm just saying, I remember that's one of the ways that we closed the gap last year and did without, and there was a lot of talk about, well, we're going to pay the price next year kind of thing. But one of the things we did to close the budget without not having to raise taxes last year was that 300,000 that we had initially projected on the front end, 2.75 million, and then agreed to carry forward that 21-22 budget of 2.45 into 222 or 22-23, and if we did the same thing in 23-24, FY24, then that lowers that amount of necessary revenue to be raised by $300,000, which is, if we're down to 594 or 600,000, that's half of that 600,000. I mean, I'm just saying that we did it last year, and for those that would be concerned about raising taxes, that's one way to close the gap significantly on the at least 1.8. Was it 1.87? We're projected to go to 32 mills. It would lower that amount. So, and the other part I wanted to discuss, or just say briefly, was that, and I know y'all, our sister touched on it the other day, and Mayor, I think you did too, but on the growth and the contributions that we're seeing to our from our general fund, the Parks and Rec budget, I've got that we increased by almost $388,000 from 1.643 million contribution in, let's see, 21-22 to if we project if the way we're tracking right now tracks on out through end of September will be below 2 million, which is close to $400,000. And I know some of next year, some of that cost is going to be borne by the transfer of some of those expenses to the 2%, or 1% and 2%, I don't know which, but some of the food and beverage and hotel taxes. But still, I guess it's just the fact that in every one of our other budget categories, with the exception of this one, we've pretty much toed the line on our budget. And in this one seems to have increased. And if you go back, a couple of years back, it started about 21 and has increased significantly each year. So, I'll suggest that we look at, if we put a number in of 1.5 million for contribution, or 1.6 or 1.4 or whatever from the general fund, the Parks and Rec, that we commit ourselves to trying to stick to that amount and not running over $300,000 or $400,000. At least money that would have to come from the general fund in this upcoming budget. But I guess I'd propose that we look at the keeping that fund balance amount, looking at 2.45 on that. That helps some toward closing that $594,000 gap, and then I'd yield some other people to see if they can come up with some other ways to maybe whittle that on down. I yield. Thank you.
okay, Alderman Brooks?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Let me preface this by saying, we talked about the salaries, and we've got some really, really good personnel that work for the city. And I'm looking out there and I see some guys that I consider to be friends, and I can call them, if something comes up we need, they're there. They're working long hours and nights and weekends and that sort of stuff. But I'm looking through this salary survey, and Alderman Sistrunk mentioned inflation. Inflation's down finally. We're down to about 2.97% this month. And I just kind of went through and picked out some, and I'm not going to call anybody out, obviously, but this is a public document, so anyone in the general public could look at this. But I looked at 21 or so raises down through here, and those 21 went to personnel with salaries ranging from mid-40s to over 140, and it averaged about 14% across the board to those. Some were higher, some were 20%, some were lower, but the numbers were fairly significant. And in the private world where I come from, I mean, I know we brought everybody up last year, or tried to bring everybody up to 100%. I might propose this year that we hold it closer back to where we used to be at the 95% range, or that we maybe look at raises. If inflation's at 2.97%, maybe 6%, which would be twice the inflation rate. But we don't want you just staying even. We want you to, this to be a good job and place you want to stay. So we want you to be able to do better. But I would propose that we take a look at that. Maybe capping the raises at 6% across the board versus going 20% or higher on a lot of these. And I'm also looking at we have our assessed value has gone up. Of course, last year went up by some $32 million. That was due to reassessment, reappraisals. And then this year it's still at $13 million, which is primarily just due to, redevelopment, which is good. I mean, that's a non-reappraisal year, so we gained that much, $13 million in just new development. But I agree with Alderman Beatty about the fund, possibly the fund, and then, looking at, taking another look at this salary study and possibly capping the raises at something, just an arbitrary number, say twice the inflation rate.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Rupp.
Well, we started this process, we were 2.8 million deficit, and through a lot of discussion, we whittled it down to 600,000, which is give or take 2 mills, which brings us to the 1.87 mills. I'm not happy about that, but I said at the meeting I would support it. Up to Alderman Beatty's point, we did sort of raid the savings account last year. I was in favor of that, but I'm not crazy about doing that every year. But I think I'd be more than happy to look at it next year, depending on how this year goes. And I don't disagree with Alderman Brooks, but I don't think those savings are really going to alter the fact that we're going to need to do a tax increase to some degree, whether it's 1.5 or 1.87. And I've said at our work session that I'd support anything up to 1.87, so I will abide by that.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Carter.
I guess my comments are more just general in nature. It seems like we always spin ourselves in the hole each and every year. It's, I think our personal checkbooks are done differently than government. I'm very interested to see, like Vice Mayor Perkins, I want to ask you maybe between now and the public hearing of if you think there's any other, always respect your opinion on those who ever voted for a tax increase, to understand if there's any other way possible. And I'm not really decided fully yet today. So we'll have some conversations between now. I'm going to vote against this today, but there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things I've always deferred back to this City Hall. There's been some issues in the past, there's been some decisions in the past, but it seems as if we always find ourselves having to come down to scraping the dime together to fund this city. And so it's interesting times. I think my conversations on a day-to-day basis are, I've got a lot of people who feel like as if they're tapped out. I've got a lot of widows, I've got a lot of single income individuals who feel like that, in the city of Starkville especially, that the quality of life is good here, but it's very expensive to live here. I hear that time and time again from people, especially that move here. I get a lot of new customers and a lot of people that over and over they say Starkville's cost of living is probably the highest they've ever been in multi-state regions. So the reason that is, I think it's college town. We have a very high, tonight we'll probably spend $40,000 to $50,000 on the concert. We spend tax dollars on quality of life issues. And this is back to what I've always said. I think we've got 25,000, 26,000 people. But on a day-to-day operation, we probably have 75,000 to 100,000 people that use our services in town. So it's a little bit of an odd tax equation we have, that such a transient group that comes in and comes out every day that may not pay into our tax base. So Starkville is very unique in everything that it does. The budget cycle is the most unique of all things that we do. We've got a lot of discussion from now until then, but I'll have some, more pointed questions as we roll in this process, so I yield.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Sistrunk and then Alderman Vaughn.
And I just want to address a few of the points that have come up tonight, and I'm going to take them in the sequence in which they went down the table there. Parks. Indeed, Parks budget has increased, but as you all know, we are opening Cornerstone Park. We are not closing any other park, so we are adding 100 acres of park space that will need to be maintained, that will have utilities associated with it, that sort of thing. I think that it's foolish to think that we can increase the amount of park space by the quantity that we have and not expect there to be some increase in cost in delivering services in a way that we can all be proud of. We can not maintain things, but that's a short-sighted approach. So that's the primary justification for the increase in parks. Programming greatly increased over the last couple of years. So between programming and increased space, yes, they are spending more money than they did. The cash balance that we budget, that's an in and out number for budget purposes. We could put $1 in there, or we could put $10 million in there. As long as it's the same beginning and ending, it has no impact on the need for property taxes or any other revenues. And right now, the number that's in the budget for this year is $2.4 million, which typically would roll over to the subsequent year, unless you had some reason to think that your number was going to go up. I think the 2.75 was just a recognition that that's a goal that we had, but I don't think it's based on where we'll end our operations this year. Last year's operations had a positive bottom line. Fiscal 22 did, but it was all related to the sale of property. If we strip that one item out, we essentially broke even for the year. So I think the cash number that's in here is misleading. It's a placeholder. We budget it so that if, and we hope this is never the case, but if we have to spend it, we have the ability to spend it. So that's the only reason it's there, and if you'll look year over year over year, except for last year, we have started the year with one number and ended the year with the same number, so that we are not spending down our savings account, as Alderman Rupp said. The inflation and the idea that inflation is down right now, it is, and I'm grateful. I go to the grocery store like everybody else, so I'm grateful. But that doesn't mean that it has decreased from where it was. It just means it's not going up as fast as it was. So the 6% that we saw over the last year is still there, plus the 3% that we're seeing this year. So inflation is a factor. All of us know, and anybody who's bought anything recognizes that things just cost more, whether you're eating at a fast casual restaurant or buying a suit or whatever. Things just cost more. And then I'm going to disagree with Alderman Brooks about the flat percentage across the board for raises. What happens when we do that, as opposed to using something like the salary study, is that is when we start to get out of line with the market. Some people may keep up, but others won't. Linemen, engineers, IT, some of those truck drivers, people with commercial licenses, when we start capping them at a flat percentage, those people tend to start getting out of market, and then when we try to catch up, we see those large raises that we weren't anticipating. I think one reason that we've been relatively successful as a community is that we have, as someone earlier tonight said, we have really good employees working for the city of Starkville. And I don't want any of them to leave here because we're not paying them appropriately. They may have reasons to leave, but I don't want it to be a salary issue. I want us to pay a reasonable amount, and the salary survey to me is the most data-driven method to get to a reasonable amount to pay employees.
Okay. Alderman Vaughn.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. We just got through commending our general manager for good, clean water. That costs money. And you look around in everybody's ward, everybody got new pavement. We want the best of our world, but we cannot pay. We got to pay for it. You want the best fire department. You got one of the best fire ratings. You want the best police. You want the safest everything. All this costs money. I mean, why we want to start in the red and don't know how we're going to end up? Why just wondering, guessing we're going to end up here? Why are we going to guess about what we can do? We took an oath that we were going to uphold this city, this Constitution of the United States, uphold all the orders of this city. How can we fund these places without money? We got to have money. Cost of living is going up everywhere. Like the Alderman woman said, we losing employees going to other places. People not going to work for nothing. They're not going to work for nothing. But we want the best of everything. We want to ride on the best streets. We want the police to be here everywhere we call them. We want the fire truck don't be late. This costs money. Fuel and all this costs money. So sometimes I just wonder why we be debating those on necessity. This is a necessity that we got to do. We got to have enough finance to fund this city. No matter how we look at it, I don't like increasing. And y'all know I don't care nothing about increasing taxes. I don't. But when there's a need, I got to do what I got to do because I put my right hand on the Bible and promise that I will do what I got to do for the best of this city. I yield, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Vaughn. And I want to, not to pile on to Alderman Brooks, because I certainly understand where he's coming from, but I do think that part of the salary survey keeps us out of the picking and choosing of what, who gets the largest raise and who doesn't and that sort of thing. And I think market-driven surveys is exactly what allows us to keep our employees and attract new ones. And so I understand that there are some positions out there that are not paid what the market is saying they should get. And I do think if we have that third party, which is in essence what the salary survey is, it's not us doing it. It's a third party doing it and looking at the market and seeing what's appropriate. And I think that's reasonable. Not unlike us using it, rather than going ward by ward and going, I want this street done, I want this street done, we do it on a professional basis and let our engineers tell us what needs to be done. And I think that has served us well over the last number of years. So I would suggest that that is still a very good way to make those determinations. So just wanted to say that. Anyone else? I have a motion and a second. Alderman Beatty and then Alderman Carver.
No, mine's more of on 2 points. One, I would say something I still think I propose is some type of financial literacy. I've got brothers and definitely friends that serve in other countries. And more than fatherlessness, the number one thing that they see, generational economic issues, is what they consider financial literacy. That you have to understand the total benefits package working for the city of Starkville. Something we mentioned before. I think something once a year, men and ladies, especially the lower salary individuals, need to understand that, yeah, they can go make $50 more a week, and the mayor and I talked about this, and you can make $50 a week, but you definitely got a lot better job in the city of Starkville in the PERS system. So that's something it's a small thing, but it's financial literacy, understanding just how much of an honor and a privilege to work in state government, especially for the city of Starkville here. Students, I will answer. My big, listening to Alderman Sistrunk and Alderman Brooks, I'm asking, I think I'd be more in favor of maybe a bottom-up tier incremental salary change to where obviously the lower paid employees get more of a raise. And I guess that's my question I have in due time is, obviously I want to see lower salary individuals get a 3% bump and 2% and $20,000. Is that discussion taking place, or?
No, that discussion has not taken place because we have supported doing a market study, which is basically a salary survey, and that's what we've done over the last number of years. And that's where we landed this year when we authorized Mr. Ashford to move forward with getting a salary survey done.
And that's taking each and every position, and it's got specific numbers, and, you know, we don't want to lose any employees at any tier in that, any level in that program, but I would say, you know, definitely take care of lower salaried individuals for sure, and anybody that doesn't have an opportunity maybe to gain any overtime somewhere. That's a situation you get in if you're not afforded the opportunity, you know, at least working 40+ hours and not really an opportunity to pick up a second job. You're seeing a lot of people in this town, I guess, for the first time, and no fault of their own, but post-COVID prices on everything, you're seeing a lot of people having to pick up second jobs, and just be cognizant of that. So, that was both of them. Thank you. How you?
All right, Alderman Beatty?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to speak to Officer Trump because I'm glad to know she thinks the comments I made were foolish about the budget.
I don't believe she said that,
I think so.
Alderman
I think
Beatty.
I heard those words.
I don't believe-
I think those words were said in this meeting.
Let's not do that.
But that, Mayor, did she not say those words?
I didn't hear her
That's a
say
direct-
that your ideas were foolish. I did not hear
I
that.
took it that way, and I heard the word foolish. I will say that we're not losing a ballpark, a park in the city, with the Parks and Rec Department. We are losing 4 ball fields at McKee Park. 4 Little League fields are being planned to be taken out and be replaced with a dog park and a walking park and a splash pad at an expense of $7.1 million. And I've gotten some calls about, you know, the cost of renting the ball fields at Cornerstone Park, and teams not wanting to do that, and where's the fallback? And fallback would normally be McKee Park when these ballparks come out, these little league ball fields, which if you had to build 4 of them right now, like those would probably cost $1 million. The fallback is the softball fields over in Sportsplex. So we're not losing a park, but we're losing something significant in one of our parks that I think a lot of at least dads and teams and coaches and things would think was significant to the city of Starkville. Our fund balance being projected 2.75 this year instead of 2.45 like we projected last year, that's not fuzzy math. I mean, that is, if you look in our budget projection thing under transfers and non-net revenue receipts, it's baked in, built into that projection that totals up to $4.13 million this year. It is a source of money that's counted in our budget. The only other thing I'd say is there was a comment tonight about how much we're spending on downtown water lines and the progress we're making, stuff like that. And I remember back a year or so back when we almost took our ARPA money and sent that out to build additional ball fields at Cornerstone Park. And but for the state saying if you do that you don't get a match, we might not be putting water lines downtown right now. We had the state of Mississippi said if you want a dollar for dollar match on this federal ARPA money, you got to have shovel-ready project, and you got to spend that money on something that the federal government intended for you to spend that ARPA money on, which one of the main categories at the top of the list, those bullet points that Congress listed with the water and sewer infrastructure. The cities have been crying for money for years and talking about how expensive replacement water and sewer lines were going to be. And so we had it, but it almost got away from us and went to Cornerstone Park. And I need to bring it back up because we look like sometimes we're proactive, and we are proactive. At the same time, that might not have happened on Main Street had it not been for the fact that we were required to spend that money on water lines, and not where we might have spent it, which was on ball fields. How you doing?
All right, well, we have a motion and
May I offer an apology? That was not directed to you, Alderman Beatty. I just wanted to point out that it is unrealistic to think that we can almost double the size of our parks and our parks programming and not have some increase in cost that comes along with that. That's all I was trying to say, and if I said it in a way that offended you, my apologies.
All right, we have a motion and a second, if we would, please, we're gonna do this on an individualized basis, so, Ms. Harden, if you would, start with Alderman Vaughn, please. We'll start with Ward 7, and if you would, answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
On the motion to call for a public hearing, to advertise for a public hearing for the 2003, 2004 budget and tax millage in the amount of 32 mills for the city of Starkville. Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Sistrum.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
No.
Alderman Brooks.
Nay.
Alderman Rook.
Yay.
Alderman Carver.
Nay.
All right, by a vote of 4 to 3, that motion passes. So the city clerk will be advertising for a 1.87 millage increase, and we will then take it up as a public hearing at the next board meeting. All right, thank you, everyone. We move next to the special event request by the Mississippi State University Student Association, who have been patiently waiting in the back, and we thank you very much, and have not given birth. We have this to hold the 2023 Bulldog Bash, and as I mentioned at the work session, we had a meeting with the folks in the back there, and if you want to come forward, we'll do that in a minute if the board wishes to hear from you. But basically, we have agreed to have a shared cost of this particular event, and I am gathering from our various department heads to submit that in a form that is each department. I should have the police department as the final piece of that before the end of the week is out, and then I will provide that to you. But in essence, y'all have agreed to share that cost. Is that correct? Okay. All right. Anyone from the board wishing to hear from the Student Association folks who are kindly here to support that request? Anyone? Do I have a motion then?
Move approval.
I have a motion for approval from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Sistrum. Any discussion from the board?
I-
Alderman Sistrum.
I would like to make a point that this is a voluntary contribution, a voluntary participation with the city by the Student Association, which we very much appreciate. But I want to make that point clear because there will be other events. Two big ones that spring to mind are the Cotton District Arts Festival and Juneteenth that have in-kind services, and then there are various other things that happen throughout the year with the partnership and the Downtown Association doing things. We certainly welcome their making contributions toward those in-kind services too. But if we attempt to make this a more formal arrangement, then I think we have to take a step back and look at how we address each and every group that requests in-kind services.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anyone else?
Mayor,
Alderman Beatty.
could we not get this in a agreement with Mississippi State to pay for half? Is the request for, is the offer for 50% of it?
They had said in the discussion that they would share.
Rather than being a voluntary,
share
it actually be contractual
Share
or share?
50% of the cost.
Could we have that in an agreement? Going forward, do we have 50?
I think whatever we do going forward is going forward, and we can certainly address any of that, including the costs associated with Cotton District Arts Festival, et cetera, going forward. But for tonight, it's on the agenda as it is.
Do we have an agreement with Mississippi State to host this event that provides for their providing liability coverage and things that
We have the same agreement that we had before. This is the first time they've offered to share that, and that was at the request of the board at the previous work session, not this last one, but the previous work session. This is a good faith on their part and good faith on our part, and I believe that that's the way we need to do this one tonight. If we wish to enter in some sort of contractual arrangement going forward, we can certainly address it for next year.
wouldn't be an amendment to the existing contractual agreement with us, Mississippi State, that could be done pretty easily. Just
We don't have an existing contractual agreement associated with Bulldog Bash. We have a special event agreement, but we don't have a contractual agreement as in they will do this, we will do that. There are requests associated with that, but I would not have considered the Bulldog Bash special event document a contractual agreement, although technically it may very well be
I'm just saying,
considered a
boards
contractual.
are going to come and go,
They
and
are.
folks on both sides of it will come and go, and that would be something that would be in the special agreement, in special events agreement going forward when maybe everybody in the room that's associated with this thing may not be, associated with it, and down the road somewhere, but it states that MSU would put 50% of the
Well, I
cost.
think Alderman Sistrunk point is well taken, that if we put this in the special event agreement, then that's going to be something that's going to be looked at by every special event coming to us, and the board will have to determine whether or not it wants to hold that particular element of that special agreement to each and every person or event promoter who comes to the city.
But don't we do make exceptions all the time, I mean,
Well, we do, but we haven't made an exception in this instance. So this will be a first.
I think that that's a simple thing to do, seems like to me, and it would be something where, all parties agree that it would be 50%, and I think Mississippi State's prepared to do that, and, would be, but contractually, special events agreement, it going forward after we all not, maybe down the road, not involved in it, or involved in city government, something like that, that's still on.
Well, I think we can certainly look at that next year. We will all be here next year, absent some sort of catastrophe. Hopefully, we'll all
So
be.
you think that we take that up next year? Is it?
I think we certainly can address it next year, and we'll see how it proceeds. But for tonight, I believe we have a good faith agreement that we can have an understanding about, so. All right, anything further? Anyone else? All right, I have a motion and a second, if you would, please. We'll do this one also. We'll start with Alderman Carver. Answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Rupp.
Yay.
Alderman Brooks.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yay.
Alderman Sistrunk.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, it is unanimous. Thank you, everyone. I think the last item we have on the agenda for board action is the claims docket. Do I have a motion?
Move.
A motion from Alderman Rupp. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Brooks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. Vote of 5-2. All right, moving along, allow me to do a call of a work session. In accordance with the notice required under Mississippi Code annotated 254113, the board will have a work session Friday, the 11th of August, 2023. This one is at 11 a.m. That meeting will be held at City Hall, second floor conference room located at 110 West Main. Notice should be provided of the work session within 1 hour of this meeting by posting such notice at City Hall. Notice should be made part of the minutes of the board meeting. The work session will be an open public meeting of the city of Starkville. Public and press are invited to attend. Do I have a motion to recess? Who was that? Alderman Vaughn? Alderman Vaughn, thank you. A motion to recess. I have a second. Somebody wants to leave? I have a second.
I like it here.
Alderman Sistrunk.
No, I said I like it here. I'm going to let somebody else approve it.
I'm going to take that as a motion, as a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion carries. We are in recess until August the 15th. Thank you, everyone.